Hello and welcome to this little corner of my studio. This is actually where I end up recording a lot of the narration tracks that you hear in the background of my videos. But today I'm just going to do like a little informal video, and this is just for Patreon people. So this is not going to be a open to the wider audience. Part of the reason I'm doing this video is because I'm not doing an unboxing this month, and so I just thought this would be a little bit of a consolation. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned last month that I probably wouldn't be doing an unboxing, and the main reason is I don't have that much stuff to show. I only received like maybe 5 items this month so far, so I figure I'll combine June and May together, and hopefully I'll have, you know, at least a dozen or so interesting items by that point. But I do have a little list of things here to talk about. I'm not going to do a lot of editing on here, so hopefully I won't screw up too many times. So yeah, I did want to mention that I'm about to, well, the video I'm working on right now is my Kickstarter video for Planet X3, and I'm a little bit nervous about it because I'm going to be looking to try to get like 1,000 pre-orders for the game, and this is going to be kind of a make or break moment, and I've already put a lot of work into Planet X3, so, you know, like I said, it makes me a little nervous because if I don't get at least 1,000 pre-orders, I'm going to have to scale back what the game is intended to be, and I really don't want to do that, but hopefully I'll get the 1,000 orders, and I don't know, I wouldn't be shocked if I got 2,000 or 3,000 orders, but I also wouldn't be shocked if I ended up getting 500. So, you know, it's just really no telling at this point. But you'll be seeing that video soon, hopefully in a day or two, because it's about 80% complete already. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to mention that, you know, I actually try to do several types of videos each month to try to help mix things up a bit, you know, and you know, Techmoan mentioned recently that he, when he uploads videos, sometimes he's amazed at what ends up being popular and ends up not being popular, and sometimes the videos that he puts the most work into are the ones that are least popular. I've actually had that exact same phenomenon. I commented about that myself, and some of the videos I've worked really hard on have been not that popular, and an example of one that I didn't think was going to be is the VIC-20 restoration I did recently. Everyone says it's one of their most favorite videos. And it was an unplanned video. I really just kind of thought it would be some filler material. So, yeah, I mean, I really never know. But everybody, of course, is asking for more restoration videos. And I try to space those out like once a month at least, maybe once every 2 months. Because, you know, there's only so many restoration videos I could do to where a lot of things will start to become repetitive. And I had already noticed that before. And that's one of the reasons I've started scaling them back. It's like, okay, you know, you do all the exact same things in every video, and you know, after a while it kind of becomes predictable. And I thought the VIC-20 would be a good exception because, well, it was quite a bit different as to what was wrong with it. So, but I do have some more restoration videos planned, so don't worry about that. I also try to fit in at least one 8-Bit Keys video every month, and I try to fit in at least some sort of documentary, and I actually hope to start the Commodore Plus 4 documentary in June, and then, of course, I like to try to fit in at least one like game review video where, you know, I talk about these more modern releases for these retro systems, and those don't seem to be very popular. I'm not sure if I'll keep doing those or not. I thought it was a cool idea, and they're generally fairly easy to make. I can usually make one of those in 2 or 3 days rather than a week for my typical video. So, yeah, I don't know. But speaking of videos, I have something else I want to tell you about, and it's a little bit complicated. So, you know that in the past I've done these. I've done 3 videos on electric vehicles, and you know, I don't want my channel to become the electric vehicle channel, but it is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and so, you know, I tried to fit in a few videos a year, you know, 1 or 2 a year. I thought that was fairly reasonable. And, you know, I usually try to fit in 1 or 2 videos a year that are not necessarily with normal content like a cat tower video or something, you know. But anyway, I've been wanting to do some more EV videos this last year or so. And believe it or not, I now am in possession of 5 electric vehicles. Now, you may be wondering how I have 5 vehicles, or is that where all your Patreon money is going, is to buy me 5 electric vehicles? Well, not exactly. I've been hesitant to mention this on the channel itself because it does require some explanation that I'm not prepared to spend, you know, 5 minutes explaining it to everybody in the world. So basically how it works is because I now work from home, I got this idea last year to take advantage of a service called Turo. Now, how this works is it's kind of like Uber, only instead of me driving around and picking people up, people just come to my house, they pick up the car, and they take it. Kind of like Enterprise Rental Car or Avis or whatever else. And I'm sure I'll get a million questions about how the insurance works with all that, but believe me, I've got it all sorted out. It's not an issue. But the great thing about it is I can buy these vehicles, and then I can put them on Turo, and essentially the vehicles pay for themselves, plus some. So they're actually making me a little bit of money. So the vehicles are not really here. Like if you show up at my house, you're not going to see 5 electric vehicles parked in front of my house. There's typically just going to be 1 or 2. On occasion there's 3, but that's because most of the time they're rented out, so they're not really here, but I do technically own them. And I actually have payments on those cars, but I don't have to really make the payments because you know, the vehicles themselves, the money they bring in from Turo pays not only for the payments but for the insurance and the maintenance, and hopefully unless there's some, you know, major wreck or some problem, they they should pay a little bit more every month than what it actually costs me to own them, which is good because that means I essentially get to own these cars for free. So you guys aren't paying for them. I'm not paying for them. My renters are paying for them, but I do have them available. Like I can go onto a calendar and I can say, you know, I want this vehicle to be available on this such and such day, and nobody can rent it that day, and then I can use it for whatever I want. And the reason I do electric vehicles, of course, is because I'm pretty passionate about those, and nobody else in the area is really renting any electric vehicles. And so, you know, I thought that would be something I could do to help contribute, because a lot of these people coming to pick up these cars, I get to interact with them for about 10 minutes or so when they show up to pick up the car or when they return it. And a lot of these people are really interested in owning an electric vehicle, but they're not really ready to take the plunge to actually go down to the dealership and buy one. So they want to rent one for you know, a week or so and see how it works with their lifestyle. And so I feel like I've really been able to help contribute to that, because now people can come here. I can help educate them about it, because there is so much misinformation out there on the internet about these types of cars. And so, you know, I get to give them real firsthand, you know, anecdotal conversations about the car, and then they get to go try it out for themselves. And most of the time, actually, I'd say about 95% of the time that people come back, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get me one of these. So so anyway, I really enjoy doing the Turo thing. Now, you might be wondering, why am I telling you all of this? Well, part of the reason is because I have several cars that I would like to do videos about now. So as an example, you've already seen the video on the Volt and the i3. And well, now I could technically do a video about the Fiat 500e, because I have one of those, and the Toyota Prius Prime, because I have one of those as well. And here's the problem though, and this is what's really been irritating me, and this is why I haven't actually made any videos about these cars, because I wanted to do them in the same format that I did the other videos, and one of the key elements of that format was to take it to the drag strip. Well, there used to be a drag strip about 2 miles from my house, and right here in Kennedale, and they closed it down. And it's actually really annoying. They closed it down because they said there was too much noise. And granted, I could hear the noise from my house on the weekends, and you know, it was noisy, I'll give you that. But at the same time, it's like people complain about people going out and street racing, and yet, you know, they've got a drag strip here, and then, oh well, we want to build some houses close to that drag strip, so now it's too noisy for those houses, so we better close the drag strip down. So I mean, what are people going to do now? They're going to go, you know, drag race on the streets and stuff, which they, you know, it just seems stupid. On the bright side, if everybody was drag racing electric cars, then it wouldn't be so noisy. But anyway, there are some other drag strips, but they're clear across town, and you know, particularly like take my little Fiat for example. By the time I would get to the drag strip, the battery on the car would probably be drained to about 20%. And if I recharged it somewhere in the area, the battery would be hot, and either of those things could possibly affect the 0 to 60 performance, just, you know, just by a hair, and that annoys me to think I wouldn't get an accurate reading. And plus, I've never been to those drag strips. I don't know how they work, and I'd kind of gotten comfortable with this one here in Kennedale. So yeah, so that's kind of an irritating thing. But one of the things I've been thinking about doing, and I'd appreciate any input on this, is maybe I could go ahead and make some electric vehicle videos sometime this year, you know, just 1 or 2 of them, And rather than focus on a specific car, like a car review, like I've been doing, I was actually thinking of maybe tackling some just generic electric car issues. For example, one of the most frustrating issues I get asked is, gee, David, how long does it take to charge that car? And that's a really frustrating question because there is no one answer, because it depends on the type of charger you're using. It depends on the type of car you're charging. It depends on a whole laundry list of variables that could make that time that I quote that person be anywhere from 10 minutes to 25 hours, and so I was thinking about making a video just, demystifying the whole EV charging thing and explaining, in the typical style that I explain things, with little animations and stuff like that, and explain to people all the different variables that go into how long it takes to recharge one of those cars. And I think that would actually go a long way to helping a lot of people understand the answer to that question, because I wish that there was just some number I could shout out to people when they ask me that question, and I get asked it a lot. But yeah, it's far more complicated than that. It's something that needs to be answered, and I've got some other ideas for stuff like that too. Like, a lot of people seem to just simply not understand the difference between an electric car and a plug-in hybrid. And I've thought about maybe trying to do a video explaining that to people. So anyway, those are just some of the ideas I've had. Just kind of curious what your thoughts on those are. And I only have one more thing to tell you about. So actually, well, really two more things. So first of all, I think I've been stressing myself out way too much the last few months. I mean, I've been working 10, 12 hours a day sometimes for weeks on end. And I know it doesn't seem that way because of the amount of content I produce, but it's, and there's several videos I've started and didn't get to finish. Some of them are put on back burners because I'm waiting on parts and various things, and sometimes things just go wrong, and I'll start filming a video and I'm like, this just isn't going to work out, so I just kind of scrap it. And those types of things are really frustrating because, I'll spend several days working on that, and I know you guys on Patreon are great. I rarely ever hear any complaints about the amount of content that I put out, but just because you guys don't complain about it doesn't mean I don't constantly get emails. David, when's your next video coming out? How come it's been so long since you put out a video? So this other Joe Blow on YouTube, man, he puts out videos every 3 days. Why can't you do that? And and so I hear that kind of stuff all the time, and it does, it helps keep me motivated, that's for sure. But it can also stress me out, particularly when videos aren't going my way, and when I'm having technical trouble, or sometimes, like I said, things just take longer to make than I anticipate, and that happens sometimes. In fact, I'm actually having some health issues. Part of the problem is my cholesterol has gotten really high. We noticed in a routine blood test about 2 years ago that it was high, just borderline, and it's been getting higher and higher and higher. And of course, my doctor's been telling me don't eat stuff with saturated fats, so I've literally just practically cut that completely out of my diet, which actually makes it really hard to find things to eat because practically everything in the grocery store has saturated fat in it. That being said, I'm eating practically a fat-free diet now, and my cholesterol is still rising. And so now they've put me on some statin medication, and I haven't yet seen the result. I'm going to go in a couple of weeks and get my blood tested again, and we'll see if it's gone down, and hopefully it has. But to make matters worse, my heart palpitations have come back. There was a really back in 2013, I was having a pretty stressful time in my life, and my heart started where it would just be beating along, beat, and then like beat, and stuff like that. And sometimes it actually even hurts when that happens, and it always it freaks me out because I think I'm gonna have a heart attack or something. And I went in, I went to the hospital, I had all kinds of tests done. I went to cardiologists, and they said, David, there's nothing wrong with your heart. We did all the tests. It's just fine. Just don't worry about it. It's probably just stress, or, maybe you're having caffeine, which I don't ever drink. So, I don't know. But anyway, they went away, and now they've come back. And actually, I just went and had a stress test done a few days ago, and I'm waiting on the results for that. But I could actually see the palpitation when I was on the treadmill, and I have the EKG in front of me, and I can see all the different little waveforms for my heart, and I could see one of the a couple times during the test I felt one of the palpitations, and I could see the little jump on there. So anyway, but more than likely, again, it's still nothing to worry about, but it still causes me additional stress. And it's kind of ironic because it's probably brought on by stress, so it's kind of almost a self-feeding loop going on there. Anyway, that aside, it occurred to me I haven't had a real vacation in ages, years actually, and I go on these trips for work. Essentially, I go to these conventions. I've got 4 or 5 of them scheduled this year, and I mean, yeah, some people might say it's a vacation, but in reality, it's really just work. I mean, granted, they're paying the airline tickets and the hotel lodging and stuff for me to do these trips, but I don't really make any money actually doing it. I do it mostly just to meet my fans and have an opportunity to talk to you. And I know I've met several of you guys at some of the conventions, and I always enjoy the conversations that I have with you guys. But those trips can be stressful too, just simply because I've got to have a whole plan for I have to have a presentation to give, and I usually have to plan that out weeks or months in advance and kind of rehearse it a few times for myself, and so it can be kind of stressful too. But yeah, so actually this year though, we're going to take a vacation. Me and the whole family, my wife and daughter, we're going to Europe in July. And we're going to London, and we're going to Oslo, Norway. And I don't want to say I absolutely couldn't meet any of you guys. So if any of you guys do live in the London or Oslo area and you want to try to maybe get together with me for a lunch or dinner or something, I could probably fit that in, but I can't make any guarantees at this point because, again, I will be with my family and we're going to have a whole schedule of things to do. But nevertheless, if it's something you're interested in doing and you live in one of those 2 cities, shoot me an email, and maybe when the time gets a little closer, we can see if maybe we can meet up or something. I wouldn't mind that. So anyway, yeah, during that time though, we're going to be gone for roughly a week and a half. And so I'll go ahead and tell you right now, during July, there are not going to be as many videos on my channel, and I'm not going to work myself to death trying to get some videos built up to release, later, because that'll just put even more stress on me. So no, I'm not going to try to do that. So just beware that July you're going to see a reduction in number of videos. I mean, I'll probably get 2 or 3 done, just probably not my usual 5. Anyway, I guess that about wraps up this episode of Rambling. So, leave me some comments, whatever you want to chat about. Signing off.